Hi there! Welcome back to the Rare Book Views channel, where I am hoping to get to share with you some of the books that I've collected, some of the special editions that I have found, some of just the things that I love and why. And I hope to hear from you about what you're reading. I love all the comments. I love to hear suggestions from people. I love hearing about stuff that people collect that hasn't occurred to me before, and then I can keep my eyes peeled for new things. I just love learning about what people like to have a copy of or a special copy of. Today I'm going to show you my copies of books by C.S. Lewis and one of his illustrators. I really love these books. So my favorite thing to collect is books that I read as a kid and still enjoy. And I really enjoy finding a special copy, an early copy, a hardcover. I love seeing the dust jackets. I love an early edition. And in this case, I have I guess I don't really have rules, but I've made an exception of sorts. I have more than one copy of the same book. I try not to do that because I don't really have any shelf space left. But in this case, I did make an exception. So I have two copies. I have the British copy. This was published in the UK, and I have all 7 of them, of course. And then I also have the US copy. I really love these books. One of my favorite things, a couple times at Christmas, I have reread them on Christmas vacation, and it is a spectacular way to spend a vacation, obviously. These books were originally published by a publisher in England called Bless, B-L-E-S. Geoffrey Bless is the publisher. Look at this. In this edition, this is what the cover looks like, and this is Pauline Baynes is the illustrator. And then in the UK edition, so you get this beautiful color frontispiece. And I've noticed a couple things about the editions. On the copyright page for these guys, the British ones, it'll tell you that it was printed in Great Britain, and then it says first published 1950, and then it gives the reprinted dates. For these books, that's generally referring to reprint of the first edition, so I believe this guy has 4 dates, and I believe it's the 4th printing of the first edition. And on the dust jacket, when you can find it, it says right here, 4th impression. Impression is a little bit confusing of a term because normally we think first edition is the way it rolled off the printing press the first time. Second edition is when they made any changes, corrections, cleaned things up, made a change. And the printing is when they just ran out of copies and printed it again. This one says impression, but all the reference I've seen to it imply that this is the 4th printing of the first edition. This is the original. Trying to get an early one like this is a little bit of a challenge. There are only so many copies and they can't make more of the original. So this one, I got it quite some time ago. I got this about a little over a decade ago, and I paid $80 for it, which is, for me, if you've watched this before, you know I'm extremely frugal. That was a lot of money. Currently though, you would pay more. I've seen a few of these recently on eBay. I tried to take the temperature, maybe $150, maybe $200 for a first edition or original edition. This does have a tiny little, situation on the spine, and it is a shame that it goes onto the actual spine, but I have it in an archival cover. It is hard to find a dust jacket at all. It is hard to find one in good condition. I'll show you what it looks like without the cover so you'll know if you ever see one. It just has gilt on the spine. There's no illustration. So without the cover, it's kind of, well, the cover is a big deal basically for having this for fun. And I think that it is a little bit of an investment. I don't think the prices are gonna go down because they keep making movies. I love the newest movies. I think they're really great, but there have been many movie versions of this book. The audiobook is good. This one also has, I think this is India, and I'm assuming this is a bookstore, and back in the 50s, this would have been part of Great Britain. This book was written in the 50s and published the whole series pretty much in the 50s. It's very post-war, enjoying things, trying to just be happy with what we have. It's that kind of vibe. I adore it. C.S. Lewis is fantastic. His writing, I think, is wonderful. I don't have any other early or vintage books by him, and this is, when I was thinking about that, it made me think I should go find some. So this is a good reason for me to go hunt some things down. He had a very interesting life. He went to Oxford and Cambridge, which I think is fairly rare in England, and he went to Oxford with J.R.R. Tolkien, and they were in a little bit of a literary society, and I think you can see the influence back and forth. Oh, what do I like better? What's better, Middle Earth or the wardrobe? I don't know, but these are probably aimed at a younger audience, so they're a little easier as a read if you're looking for something in the classic realm and you haven't read them. This is easy peasy. This is all enjoyable Turkish delight, if you will. Okay, I also have, this is another book in that series, and you can see similar, it's got a little bit on the spine, we've a little bit of loss to the dust jacket. This one says right here, 5th impression of the first edition. The copyright is the same. Here's the, so pretty. I'll show you just a little bit of the, there's black and white illustrations throughout. They're just wonderful, of course. And I was going to show you the copyright page. Where is it? Okay, it doesn't have the date in this one. I did not realize that. How fascinating. It's not missing. It does have, this is pretty cool. It has the books in order. And in the UK version, the Chronicles are listed as The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and then Prince Caspian, and then The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, The Silver Chair, The Horse, The Magician's Nephew, and The Last Battle. So you'll find sometimes they're issued as a series in a slightly different order, and I don't understand it. I think this is the order they were published in. Okay, I wanted to show you, for illustration's sake, the US version. So I have the vintage US version. This is published by Macmillan. They are very modern, right? Very square. These are also Pauline Baynes, I believe. And look at the difference in the covers. It is a different world. So I will show you, and these say the number of where it is in the series on the front. They have, the price is right here on the dust jacket. The recommended age is 8 to 12. I'm a little bit outside that range. Here's what this one says. 9th printing of the first edition. And then it doesn't have, this is the title page. So it's missing that. There's no color illustration in the US version. What were they thinking? Why did they deprive us of that? And I want to show you for fun, this is the iconic, to me, this is the moment. This is what I remember from this series, of her meeting Mr. Fawn. And you can see in the UK version, humor me, pretty much the same. So the black and white illustrations throughout, very similar, practically the same thing. You'll have a very similar experience. And then, amazingly, look what they did for us in the US. This is it without the dust jacket. It's got this, no gilt, but this illustration on the front. So now, this is why I have 2 copies, because I can't decide which one's better. In the UK one, you get the color frontispiece. On the US one, you get this beautiful illustration of the actual cloth cover. Which one's better? I don't know. Here is the second one in the series, the US version. It's very similar to the one I just showed you, but on this, on the title page, you get black and white illustration. Better than nothing. And then this one is a slightly different format, and it has the printing right here. And then something crazy that happened with these, if you collect the US versions, I will show you. Different years, they just added a couple millimeters. So this one in my series, this one is towering over the rest of them. They don't quite line up. And I even bought these, rare for me, I bought these as a set in a bookstore at a retail price. I think this was probably maybe 10 years ago or so, and I paid $120 for the set for the US ones. Right now, I did look it up, and they're listed for around $300, give or take. So I think if you wanted to buy this set completed right now, that is probably the price. If you collected them individually, it would be less expensive. The first one is the key one, and that is by far the most expensive. For the UK versions, you can buy them on eBay. They are more expensive. So I think the first one, I saw a few copies of vintage ones for about $150, closing in on $200, and the others are round about maybe $100. So the whole set is going to run you over $700. But you can find them. I have seen them in my comings and goings at used book sales and used bookstores. You can find them. Definitely, if you buy them individually, it would take a lot longer and be more frugal. Way to go. I think it is fascinating that C.S. Lewis, these books were illustrated by Pauline Baynes. She was a prolific children's illustrator. And I have read, even if you just read Wikipedia, there is some fascinating commentary about, I don't think that C.S. Lewis chose her as the illustrator. I think the publisher did. And he was very, very kind to her. And he was a religious man. He studied theology and was very interested in UK, British, England, religion. He was an Anglican, that's what I mean to say, later in life. And these books do have religious themes, and he seems like he was a very sweet man, and he was very complimentary to her in letters that survived. And I don't know, did he not meet her? Did they not sit down together and decide? But privately, or to other people in letters that have survived, is complimentary, particularly about her ability to draw animals, which seems like a key requirement for the Lion, the Witch in the Wardrobe. She needed to be able to draw some animals, and he was not sure. Anyways, she went on to great success. She was, like I said, very prolific. She illustrated a ton of children's books, and I actually do have a couple of those. I have, I ran across this somewhere, and it's just amazing. I think I got this at an auction or with other things, and I hung on to it because, well, it doesn't take up much room on the bookshelf. Look at the illustrations just on the cover. It sort of looks like Matisse. It's a little bit like paper cutting. It's almost a woodcut kind of approach. It's so different from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, this style of illustration. This book is in black and white. And this type of book, for the rest of the cover, oh my gosh. This type of book by her, illustrated by her, is running around maybe $30 would be a good price to pay. And you could certainly pay more if you were in a hurry or you just didn't care to be as patient. She did illustrate, like I said, many books, and she actually ran out of, she wasn't really commissioned for things later in life, and she ended up doing her own interpretation of common stories or writing her own works, and I've never seen those. I would love to. This one is one that I found in a charity bookshop for about $3, and because it's dragons, and we're talking about someone who illustrated C.S. Lewis, I mean, St. George and the Dragon, how great is this? This one says 1963, and it just says printed in the United States. It might be a first edition, I honestly don't know. It's hard to find one of these to compare online, and sometimes when people list them, it's hard to know. I want to see multiple people. This is pretty much in red ink, and you can see the text, some of the capital letters are in red, but otherwise it's just a black and white book. I have seen these also for about $30 online. So if you are a Narnia fan or you know someone who is, I think having books by Pauline Baynes is such a treat and kind of unexpected because the illustrations are in slightly different styles. They're often very children's book, fairy tale oriented. So if you are a fan of C.S. Lewis, I think you would also really love to have these. And they're not nearly as much of a treat, as extravagant to purchase. And I think they're really fun. I'm going to show you the rest of the covers of the series because they're so pretty, and I'll show them to you on the shelf. And other than that, thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you are a C.S. Lewis fan and what I should read or collect next. What exciting edition should I try to find? And let me know what you're collecting and reading. Thank you for watching.